I thought I'd wait until tomorrow morning to make this video, but it's burning my chest. So I thought I'd address it now. My battery's on like 12%, but it's on the charger. I hope it doesn't die while I'm going live. If it does and I lose the footage, I apologize in advance. I should have probably waited for my battery to charge a bit more, but it's whatever. Um, this morning I went to This morning I watched the podcast and chill episode on the Alabuga scandal in South Africa, and I found myself getting upset. Um, and like I said, I thought I was gonna make a video tomorrow morning, and I decided to make it now. And I wanted to address some of the things that triggered me there. Uh, Not that it's gonna change anything or change anyone's mind, but just to share my views, man. This stuff frustrates me because it just reminds me of the wider societal issues that we have. So, MacJ and Saul hosted some of the influencers that were part of the so-called scam of the Alabuga opportunity in Russia. They also invited the person who, I'm not sure if he owns or if he just runs or if he just manages an agency called Sway Digital. His name was Usia. I didn't get his surname. Apologies for that. And then they also invited Zimasa Vabaza, Mustafa, to come and share his views. I'm going to try and be as brief as I can be. Number one, shout out to Zimasa Vabaza. He was the adult in the room, and he came with a lot of solutions and a lot of perspectives, which were very mature, very educated, very informed, and tried to be very diplomatic about the whole thing. Shout out to him. Number two, man, I need to give a shout out to Usia for actually coming through. There are apparently a lot of other agencies involved in getting influencers. I think he said they worked with like 10 or 12. There's allegedly like 33 or something influencers that were involved in the whole campaign. So they only worked with some of them. But for him showing up, for him taking accountability, for him apologizing where he feels they were wrong, for him trying to articulate the issues that they dealt with, big ups to him. And after watching the episode, I realized why so many other agencies probably won't come forward. I guess thank you to the influencers who came through to share their stories. We appreciate that as well, of course. There was a lady called Joy, I think from Sunday Times, who was there. And unfortunately, she didn't add much value to the conversation. And I think when she was asked questions around what have they uncovered, I don't think she had any like real tangible evidence that she came to share, sadly. I think I've spoken to Joy via text, in the recent past. I'm not sure if it was about the open chats conversation. I'm not sure. MacG got emotional towards the end of the episode, which was incredibly unprofessional and, to me, very hypocritical. Well, number one, he was upset with Usia. He says, look, you've scammed me as well, bro. I appreciate him raising that. I appreciate them trying to address that on that platform. I think that's pretty dope. And more than anything, man, shout out to MacG, Saul, Dudu, and anyone else in the team at Podcast and Chill involved in actually having this sit down that is fundamentally important and that affects the influencers who influence millions of South Africans. It affects young kids who are influencers or who want to be influencers. It affects people who are looking for opportunities, and it affects everyone, to be fully honest. So shout out to them for creating that platform to have that conversation. People are constantly looking for a villain when things go bad. And in this instance, Usia becomes the villain. I do not think Usia is a villain. I found myself thinking of like Ukhosi, Mahumapilo from Ambitious. All the artists that leave, Fifi Cooper, Aries, Black Diamond, Java, MT, all these artists that would leave. I think Amanda Black as well, if I'm not mistaken. And they would call him all these names and they'd accuse him of many things. And I've had the pleasure and the privilege of Ukhosi and of meeting Ukhosi. And, one of the things I asked him was like, say, well, mind you, all these allegations. And he gave me some really colorful answer, which I'm not going to share here, but I will say this based on what he said. And this is very relevant to people like Usia and many others. People don't celebrate the platforms that give them money and pay them, give them opportunities. According to Sia, Sway Digital has been operating for over 10 years. No one, including those influencers there, are saying thank you for the opportunities to do influencer work. Thank you for plugging us. Thank you for considering us. Thank you, man, for making us money over the years and for looking after us. It means a lot. You're plugged. Thank you. People don't say that. All the guys that are ambitious, that have become household names, that have made money, that have become celebrities, that have gotten so many opportunities and awards. It's difficult to remember, or it's tough to remember, and I don't know if you guys remember the times when they would actually be like, shout out to Ambitious, shout out to Horsey. These guys took us from nobodies to somebodies. The stories come out only when there are issues and there are fights. There are rumors that this specific campaign was paying influencers between 50,000 and 150,000 Rand. What was interesting is they were targeting females. So they were looking for influencers that had a largely female audience. So our pens, unfortunately, don't make the cut. A lot of female influencers, of course, but hey, interestingly, some male influencers, I guess they have a female audience. Sia explained the situation. They got a campaign through a Dubai agency, and they then worked with certain people that they know. I think do they call him Omar? Dr. Omar, I think. I'm not sure who that is, unfortunately. Would help plug some of the influencers. And they would give them a brief. And not only would they give them a brief, some of these influencers went to Russia to go and see the place, to go and meet some of the kids there. So when they speak about vetting and verifying and doing your research, it's like, but you guys went there. How much more? The reality is no influencer does a deep dive on any company. They take it on the reputation. They go to a website. They look at a script. And this is not just online. This is including TV work. There have been scandals with many companies in the past. Products, cosmetic products, pharmaceutical products, many services and companies that have collapsed, that have been dodgy. It's happened not just on social media, but TV, print, etc. Companies collapse. Banks collapse. Insurance companies collapse. And people are looking for a villain. And Usia's mistake was showing up and saying, I'm here to take accountability. So it's like, we found someone. Let's bash him to death. Magchi accuses Usia of scamming in the past. Sia's like, look, I've responded to this in the past, but you've taken out the parts where I'm responding. And he's like, I'm happy to address it now, even though we're not here for this. And every time he tries to answer, that's him off very emotionally. To be like, bro, I explained to you, though, that it wasn't me. I was a middleman. And I tried to remedy the situation by paying you out of my pocket. But you're still accusing me of scamming you when, like, I'm here. I didn't run away. I'm here. You see me. And, dog, we've done work together in the past. I'm someone that you know. These become the things that make it difficult for people to go into business. Because businesses don't always work out, man. Things go wrong. And you want to hold accountable. You want to be accountable. You want to show up. But then people bash you and trash you. And people cry. Abo Zilla, Abo Sima, are they bashing him? Yeah, but dog, it's you. And it's, nah, man. The influencers have to take accountability. Sia takes accountability for his part, but the influencers are not taking accountability for, but we also should have done better research. It's no, we need to blame someone else. And Sia's not blaming other people. He's like, look, there is a Dubai agency. There is a company in Russia. There is a Russian embassy. There is the South African government. But for where we maybe could have done better, sure. But even in the we could have done better, Sia is trying to explain. So we can't say that Sway Digital and Sia must apologize for linking them to a scam company, because that hasn't been proven as yet. They can't apologize for saying, but this company traffics people, because there's no proof of trafficking as yet. He explains that the Russian embassy released communication explaining that all of this is not true. What must he apologize for? And this is where now the influencers are like, yeah, but our name is being dragged, our accounts have been deleted on TikTok, and it's like, I'm not the reason your account was deleted. Your account was deleted because apparently there's some Pabalo person who hates on Saint Bougie. Saint Bougie went and made some video, and Pabalo came with these stories, and I'm not sure if it's Pabalo or someone else. Yeah, but this company is a scam, they trafficking girls, bring back our girls. Lied. There's no evidence as yet. This person can't say there's proof that Alabuga is a bad company. There's proof that people are doing this. There's proof that people are being there's no proof. Guess who is responsible for the influencers losing their accounts? Ordinary people, the audience out there. Not Sway Digital, not Sia, not Alabuga, not the Dubai agency. Ordinary people who worked on fake news. We speak about fake news and disinformation all the time. They took fake news and they went and they reported these accounts on Instagram and TikTok. And these platforms, which don't belong to us, of course, they don't do vetting themselves to check, are these allegations true? They just take all these reports from you guys and they remove the accounts. But again, someone must be a villain. And Usia becomes a villain. That's so unfair. That's so unfair. You listen to actors and musicians blaming politicians and the government and the production houses and the platforms. You guys should have given us pension. You guys should have given us medical aid. You guys are not taking care of us. We're dying poor. Where is your personal accountability? Where was all this noise when we were giving you an opportunity to become famous, to become a star, to become a sports star, to make money, to become rich, to buy a house, to buy cars, to get all the girls in the club? Where was all this energy? It wasn't there. But you need to blame someone for the fact that you've made certain decisions in your life that have not worked out. When you were making money, why didn't you take out a funeral policy? When you were making money, why didn't you get your own medical aid like freelancers are meant to do? Why didn't you go and get financial advice? We're not a financial advisory company. We are just a production house. We are just a record label. We are just a soccer team or a rugby team. But we must be held accountable for everything in your life. We must be held accountable for people out there who hate on you, who reported your account. We did not ask people to report you. Someone lied out there and someone then got you guys cancelled. And you guys don't want to hold your own fans, your own followers and supporters to account because maybe some of them were the ones that reported you. You want to hold an agency which has been doing work for over 10 years to help brands plug with influencers to make money, of which they have made the money. How do we feed our families? How are you feeding your families? You are feeding them from the same work, from the same platforms. This is one rotten deal, which is a sad deal, which has really upset people's lives, but it's one deal. It's upsetting. The hypocrisy now, MacGyver, is MacGyver is currently being sued by Minnie Dlamini. He's being sued for things that he said. Saul Penduga has been collateral damage because KFM has fired him by association. But the energy that he had for Usia, I don't see that energy to be like, Saul, I'm so sorry, bro. It's my fault that you are fired from KFM. It's my fault that you're losing money. It's my fault that you're dealing with reputational damage. It's my fault as MacG. And that reputational damage, that 2.5 million lawsuit, whatever potential reputational damage of the Podcast and Chill network, which is not just the Minnie Dlamini case, but other cases, Amanda DuPont, certain things I think they said about transgenders, and that affects all the people that work at Podcast and Chill. They can't make money. Brands walk away. The reputational damage and. But that energy is not there. But now when it affects MacG personally, when it affects people that he cares about personally, he feels he's in his right now to go and attack Usia, who's with the greatest emotional intelligence and maturity, trying to take the hits, apologizing where he can, trying to give the facts, and even asking, how can I make this better? Please give me advice. But he's just being met with hostility and, yeah, dog, but it's you, you're not even taking accountability. It's like, but why do you think he's here? He's here to take accountability. He's here to listen. And anywhere where he was wrong, where he maybe didn't call a meeting in time, he didn't reach out to the influencers, he's willing to learn and listen and apologize and do things better. But you're not allowing him that courtesy. It really frustrated me. Shout out to Sia, shout out to Mustafa. Saul Penduga didn't say much, but most of it was sober. The influencers need to introspect. They need to be honest about where they went wrong. And then last but not least, man, there's an episode on Black Mirror that I always reference. Black Mirror on Netflix, hated by the nation. People in the episode post what looks like tweets to say death to someone. And when those people die, those people are not held to account. And at the end of the episode, the algorithm changes so that they are then killed by these mechanical bees that they sent to go and kill other people. We need to be responsible and accountable for the actions we make. When you're reporting an account, when you're dragging someone, when you're calling them names, when you're accusing them of things with no evidence, you are as complicit as the next person in what happens to them. The influencers' accounts, which is the number one thing that they are complaining about, number two becomes reputational damage. The influencer accounts, number one, were reported by ordinary people. Those are the people that had their accounts removed. Having accounts removed without any verified information. Number two, the responsible person is the person that sent the fake news, or the people. Who are those people? They should be held to account. Where did you get this information? Then we can start looking into Alabuga, we can start looking into the Dubai agency, and I do think what Usi and Sway Digital needs to do, because of this whole firestorm, is to say, this is the agency from Dubai that called us for the brief. Not to say that they must be burnt, but we got the brief from them. We're not going to hide them because we're catching heat now, and we're saying, let's hope they are reputable. This is who they are. And these are the guys at Alabuga. This is the Russian company that's doing the work. So let's look into them. I just found myself hurt, man. And I was just reminded that, when you try and do good things for South Africans, for Black people, for influencers, it's very rare to find them giving you kudos and big ups and giving you shout outs. But as soon as you make one mistake, one flop, they come at you as if you're the most evil person on earth. And this is what makes being a person and a leader so difficult. And you turn people into monsters. And maybe someone like Usia wakes up one day and is like, yeah, I'm never going on a platform again. I'm never explaining myself again. People think I'm evil, so the fuck what? I tried in the past, I got burnt, I lost money, I lost reputational mileage. So I'm just going to make money now. And if people get burnt, tough. And you create these monsters that you claim to hate in the way you treat them instead of giving them a platform. And as Mustafa was trying to do, saying, let's see how we can remedy this thing for everyone. TikTok South Africa should come to the party. What is their responsibility in making sure that these influencers get their accounts back based on fake news? The South African government needs to come to the party. Ministers like Gayton McKenzie of Sports, Arts and Culture must come to the party and say, this is our responsibility in trying to remedy the situation. Influencers must come to the party and say, we must do better. We must save money. We must check what's going on. But we must also give kudos where these platforms are giving us money because they feed us. But we only come out to bash them. And then we must see about, should we do overseas work? How do we vet it in future? How do we make sure that the contracts are ironclad? How do we come together as influencers, as podcasters, as content creators to say, we are going to create our own union. Forget government. We're going to come together and we're going to make sure that our voices are heard and we are protected and we raise money together and we have some type of funeral policy together and we help each other out and. Instead of constantly blaming everyone else for self-inflicted issues. The same people that are complaining now have dragged so many other people and spoken shit about so many other people and perpetuated so many lies about other people, and it becomes a fat joke on podcasts. When now they catch heat, we must all cry tears. Penuel, I'm so sad. People are calling me names on Twitter, and it's like, yeah, but dog, you're the one that put yourself out there. You're the one that shared this information. You're the one that wanted to be a public figure. You're the one, but now we must cry for you. but you're the same person that was bashing this person and laughing at that person. Take accountability, personal accountability. And again, we're just discussing influences now, but a lot of this stuff happens in people in companies. They work in companies that are fly by night and then they lose money. People that work overseas in certain contracts, people that work with government, people that work. There are so many weird, dodgy pyramid schemes and Ponzi schemes and whatever, and we let it go and we don't talk about it until it's famous people. Nah. Again, shout out to the podcast and chill team. Shout out to them for having the conversation. I mean, for the fact that I'm having this video is because of the work that they did, bringing the influencers, bringing Usia. The other agencies must be exposed as well. It cannot just be Sway Digital because other agencies were involved. Other role players must be involved as well, as exposed as well. The South African role players, and then the Dubai agency and any other international agencies they worked with. And then people must actually do real research on Alabuga. I can almost guarantee now, almost all of us here don't even know where to even start with researching. Yeah, you should research better. How? Show us. Teach us. An entire Russian embassy has said they found no wrongdoing. I understand American propaganda. They would love nothing more than to paint Russia in a bad light. I went to visit St. Petersburg in Russia 2-3 years ago. And I can tell you now, the rest of Russia is not at war. They're not fighting. It's not a military zone. It's not. Imagine Zimbabwe fighting with South Africa, but at Musina. The people in Cape Town are so far away. They carry on with their lives. That's what happens. Because people don't know war and what. When there were students protesting in 1976, it wasn't like the whole country was shut down. It was certain spaces. So if anyone is like, I'm scared to go to Russia, they're at war, you've never traveled. I'm scared to go to Israel, Palestine. I don't think you've traveled. You don't know what you're talking about. These influencers went to Russia to go and see what was going on. They weren't there dodging bombs. But that's the power of propaganda. That's the power of disinformation that we're always constantly dealing with. There are so many other teachable lessons from this thing, and I put them in a tweet and I posted on Facebook. I'm going to put them in the comments here as well, to just be like, these are some of the lessons that we have to learn. Of course, things like human trafficking are bad, and we need to remain vigilant. Of course, there are many things we need to learn to vet. Of course, we need to have better contracts, better transparency, but man, you must take some accountability for your own life decisions. Can't always be constantly pointing fingers at other people, the ANC and the what. You voted for the ANC. You are the one that's accepting bribes. You are the one that's buying from illegal foreigners. You. But then you want to point fingers when it's convenient. I took a job. There's corruption. But you don't see your role in that. Those are the things that just frustrate me. And that's what I wanted to get off my chest. The last thing I wanted to raise, because I wanted to raise two things, is you guys need to help us, some of us, in trying to figure out how to price for referrals. I get so many DMs these days of people wanting me to link them to so many guests that I've had, so many business connects, so many political connects, and I think a lot of people don't understand that this stuff costs money. It costs time, it costs resources. I didn't snap my fingers and get access to someone. I've built a reputation. I've had to travel. I've had to do business with them. And it came at a cost to get the contact that I have, number one. And number two, for them to trust me enough such that when you say, I got your number from Penn, they're like, oh, Penn is a good friend of mine. I automatically trust you. It comes at a huge cost, financial and otherwise. So yes, it's abnormal, especially for Black people with our legacies, to be like, Penn, please, can you pass me this number? And then I'm like, oh, it's going to cost 500 Rand. It's going to cost 10,000. For a phone number, for an email address, come on, dog. Yeah, dog. That's the price of getting it from me. I know it's not something we used to speak about Ubuntu, but it came at a cost. It's like asking for advice. I went and I studied in high school, in varsity. I worked in corporate. I've run businesses. I've traveled. But you want my advice, which came at a cost to me. I must give it to you like for free. In the absence of charging money, you guys must then help us in saying, how do we then get some type of value? Okay, so I'll give you a number and an email address. How do I get value? What can you offer me in return in kind? Because I can tell you now, in the past, I've connected so many people who have gone on to make millions of rands. I haven't received most of the money in those deals. So in future, you realize I had to travel to America to meet this person, to build their trust. I did business with them. After 5 years, they now trust me. Now I must just link you to that person to do business with them of my name, of my reputation. But I get nothing in return. I bumped into a clip from my sit down with Vusi Tembegwayo a few years ago where he was speaking about many people calling him a scam artist. And he was like, those same people want to come to his masterclass classes for free for his knowledge that is accumulated and acquired over years. But they laugh and they call him a scam artist where he can go to Dubai and people can pay him top dollar to listen to him because they value knowledge merchants. He was like, how curious is it that the poorest people, the poorest communities think it's a joke and it's funny and they don't want to pay for information. Key information that can change your life. Key information that can help your business, key information that can help you get a job or acquire skills. They don't want to pay for it. And when you charge a price, they call you a scam artist. But you look at everyone else, your medical doctor, your lawyer, your tax advisor, all those guys who have skills that can change your life, they charge a fee and you're comfortable. But when someone says, but yes, maybe I don't have a qualification in engineering, but I've got qualifications from the street. I know people that can change your life. I know information that can change your life. So this is my fee. So this guy's a scam artist. Imagine he wanted me to pay money to speak to him. Okay, cool. Go on Google, go search, ask ChatGPT, go to a library. Look, the information is out there if you can find it. But the reason why you come to certain people like myself is because I already have a direct line to this person. You've heard me speak about this thing. You've never heard it before. You could have read it in a book. You could have searched for it somewhere. You could have bumped into a documentary, but you didn't. You heard it from me. And now you want to engage me on the information that I have. And I'm saying my time costs something because I need to eat. I need to travel. I need to accumulate more information. This information cost me money to get. I had to buy a book. I had to travel somewhere. I had to fail here. So for me to share this information, this is my PhD. This is my thesis. This is my doctorate. So I'm asking, not even for a lot, just to be like, just value. If you can't give me money, is there something we can barter? That's all. Help us. The Black Pen, I'd like to hear your thoughts, man. Let me be out. Sharp.